Are you a beginner pianist who wants to play R&B chords at the piano, but you're not sure where to start? Well, many teachers will tell you that if you want to play R&B, you got to learn these big, fat R&B chords that are super hard to play for a beginner. Well, in today's lesson, I'm going to teach you a much simpler approach to getting some beautiful sounding R&B chords, and you don't have to be a pro pianist to play these chords. I'm also going to show you how you can improvise over this chord progression so you can play a sweet sounding R&B solo. So if you're ready to play some R&B, let's go ahead and dive in. All right, I'm going to get right to it and teach you these 7 R&B chords, and be sure to stick around to the end because I'm going to show you some really amazing improv techniques in the right hand that you can use over these chords. All right, your first chord is a C chord, but instead of playing it like this, you're going to play it like this. Okay, way more interesting and colorful. Now, you're going to play these chords in your left hand because when you have the backing track, you're going to have that bass laying down the bass line. So we're going to leave the bass note out for now, and you can actually go ahead and play it with your right hand like this so you can really hear the chord lock in, okay? Now, this is called a C6-9 chord. It is a very common chord used in R&B music. Now, I don't want you to worry too much about the names of these chords. They will make sense over time. The key is that you understand that this is a chord that you can use as a substitute for a C chord. And once again, it sounds way cooler. All right, the second chord is one of the coolest chords in this chord progression. Check it out. Okay, very hip, very crunchy and cool. All right, this chord is called an E7 flat 13 sharp 9, but again, don't worry too much about the name of this chord. Just know that you can use it as an E7 chord. Okay, it's like a 3 chord in the key of C. Okay, so this is how you play the chord. You can grab the root there on the bottom and you'll really appreciate the chord. All right, the third chord is an A chord and it sounds like this. Okay, very crunchy, very cool. And you're gonna play this in your left hand. You can go ahead and cross over to grab the A on the bottom. And remember, later we're gonna play with that backing track, so you'll hear the bass in the backing track, okay? This is called an A minor 9. And again, don't worry about the names. Just know that this is a substitute chord that you can use instead of an ordinary A minor. All right, the fourth chord sounds like this. Very cool, very crunchy C13 chord, okay? You're gonna play it in your left hand like this. Again, you can grab that root on the bottom and you'll really appreciate this chord. Now, this is a substitute chord for a C7, which is a dominant chord, okay? It's just a much more colorful version of a C7. All right, your fifth chord sounds like this. Okay, very crunchy, very cool F major 9 chord. We'll play it in the left hand like this. And this is a substitute chord for your F major, which is your 4 chord. Again, it's so much more interesting to play it like this. All right, your sixth chord actually uses a little walk down from the F chord. Okay, and so this is actually the same chord that you used at the beginning. It's that C6-9 chord. All right, the next chord sounds like this. Very cool, very crunchy D13 chord. Let's play it in the left hand like this, and you can grab a bass note root on the bottom so you can really appreciate that chord. And this is a substitute chord for a 2 chord, which is usually like a D7. All right, your last R&B chord has a very cool, authentic R&B sound. Okay, this is called a G13 sus4. You're gonna play it in your left hand like this, and then you can cross over to the root. You'll really appreciate this chord. And this is actually a substitute chord for a simple G major, which is like the 5 chord in the key of C. Instead of playing a G major, you can play this G13 sus4. And once again, don't worry about the names of these chords. They will make sense over time. All right, let's do a quick review of these chords, and then we'll play it with the included backing track. First chord is C, then we have the E, then we have the A, then we have the C, now the F, then the C over E, then the D, and finally the G. So as you can see, these chords are actually not that hard to play. They sound really good, but you don't need a lot of playing technique to actually play them. All right, next let's play this with the included backing track. But before we do this, if you're enjoying the lesson, please hit the like button. And if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe for more videos just like this. Here's the C chord, the E, and the A, the C, the F, the C, the D, and the G. You can play with the rhythm. By the way, I wanted to mention that this backing track plus the lesson sheet music are both downloadable. You can also change the key of this entire lesson with the click of one button with our smart sheet music, so I'll put a link to all of that below. All right, you've learned the chords, but what do you play in the right hand? Well, that's the next step. I'm going to show you how you can improvise a sweet sounding solo over these left-hand chords like this. Now you might be thinking, Johnny, that sounds pretty cool, but you must be using lots of different scales. And believe it or not, I'm actually just using one scale the entire time. It's called the major blues scale, but I like to call it the gospel scale. And it's one of the best scales that you can use to improvise over almost any chord progression or tune. So the scale only has 6 notes. They are C, D, D sharp, E, G, and A. Now, it's not enough for you to just learn the scale and start soloing because you're not going to know what to do with the scale. If you really want to create interesting sounding solos, then you really need to understand the 3 main improv techniques that I use with this scale. Now keep in mind that I'm going to teach you techniques that a beginner could play. So these are going to be very simple ideas, but they still sound really good. So technique 1 is called the A grip. And what you're going to do is you're going to take this scale that I just taught you, but instead of starting on C, you're actually going to start on the A. Okay? And basically you're going to play the rest of the notes of the scale with the remaining fingers of your hand. Next, you're going to learn the 3 primary techniques that you can use with the A grip. And they are 16ths, slides, and turns. 16ths sound like this. Okay? Basically, you're playing 4 notes for every beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. And there's a great exercise that I put together here in the lesson sheet music where you play a little pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Okay? And you can just repeat this pattern over all of your chords. The second technique is your slide technique. Has a very hip sound. Now there are 2 slides. You can either slide your E up like this, and what I'm doing is I'm grabbing that D sharp and sliding up to the E, or you can do a down slide to the D, okay? And I'm grabbing the same E flat and sliding down to the D. Here's a little exercise that you can practice over the chord progression. I'm basically sliding the E, repeating the E, and then down slide to D. I'm using my 3rd finger, my middle finger, and then C, A. And then I just repeat that over all the chords. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, the 3rd technique is what's called the turn, and it sounds like this. very cool, very authentic R&B sound. So for the turn, it's actually quite simple. You start on the D, and then you turn off this note. Okay, so that's basically D, E flat, D, C. That's your turn. And then we're gonna come up D, C, A, C. And that finishes the full line, okay? So here it is, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. All right, next I'm going to show you how you can combine these 3 techniques with the included backing track, and then I'll teach you techniques 2 and 3, and finally at the end we're going to combine all 3 techniques with the backing track. Let's start with 16th notes. Okay, keep it simple. Some slides. Okay, maybe let's do some turns. By the way, if you want to do a deep dive on the major blues scale and you want to learn all of the techniques that I use when I'm improvising with this scale, you can in our course, The Major Blues Scale. You'll learn everything you need to know about this scale, including the best fingering, exercises to master it, improvisation and soloing grips. You'll learn all kinds of cool techniques. You'll learn how to play this scale over multiple piano styles, the best fingering to play this scale in all 12 keys. And finally, at the end, we put all the pieces together so that you can improvise a solo using this scale, and you'll feel confident while you do so. All right, for technique number 2, you're gonna learn the second grip, which is called your E grip. And basically, you're gonna play these 4 notes of your major blues scale with your thumb on the E. Now for this grip, you can also cross your second finger, your index finger, over to the E flat and grab that E flat on the bottom. All right, just like the A grip, you can use the same 3 improv techniques in the E grip. So you can do 16th notes. Okay, does that make sense? And this is a great little exercise to practice this. E, G, A, G, C, A, G, E, and you just repeat it. Over all of your chords. You can also do slides. Okay, for the slide, I like to slide the A from the G sharp, okay? So you grab that G sharp with your middle finger and slide up to the A. And there's a great little exercise. You slide the A, C, and slide the A, and come down G, E. And that repeats. The third technique is your turn technique, and I like to play them like this. Okay, basically I'm starting on my A, and I'm turning on the G. You see that? So G, A, G, E, and then I come back up, G, A, E, G, and that finishes the line. So it's like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. All right, let's go ahead and improvise these 3 techniques in the E grip with the included backing track, and then after this, I'll teach you the third technique. So here it is with the backing track. Let's start with 16th notes. Here we go. The slides. right, the third improv technique is one of my favorite techniques, and this is called the pedal harmony technique, and it sounds like this. It has a very cool sound to it. So for this technique, you're going to put the A on the top, and then on the bottom, you're going to play all of the other notes that come from your C major blues scale. So I like to start with the A, and then you can play the A with the C, and then the A with the D, the E flat, and the E. Now we call this top note A a pedal note because we're playing it with so many of the notes below it. And so anytime you have a note that's constant on the top or the bottom of a chord, we can call this a pedal note. So for this technique, you can use 16th notes. Okay. Basically what I'm doing is I'm starting with the C, and I'm going D, C, E flat with the A, D, C, and then C with the A. Okay, and that just repeats. It's a great exercise for the 16th notes. You can also do slides. Okay. For this one, I'm sliding the E, and then E again, and then down slide to D, down to C, like that. That's all I'm doing. Finally, you can do harmonized turns. For this one, I'm grabbing the D with the A, turning off this note, and then D with the A, and then back to C, and then back to D with the A. That's it. So here to slowly, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1. All right, let's go ahead and improvise with these 3 harmonized techniques with the included backing track, and here it is. Maybe start with harmonized 16ths. How about harmonized slides? How about harmonized turns? All right, as promised, I'm going to show you how to combine all 3 of the techniques that you learned in this lesson, your A grip, your E grip, and this harmonized pedal technique, and here's how it sounds with the backing track. Maybe start with some simple 16th notes. Maybe go to your E grip. Maybe some slides. Maybe the A grip with the slides. Maybe some turns. Maybe up to the E grip. Down to the E grip or the A grip. Maybe the harmonized technique. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed the lesson, please let me know in the comments. Also, be sure to check out pianowithjohnny.com. We have over 1,000 step-by-step lessons for all playing levels where you'll learn your favorite songs, styles, and how to improvise at the piano. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.